There's a type of adult who looks like they're doing fine. They pay bills, they answer emails, they show up to work, they buy groceries, make small talk, and keep moving like everyone else. But underneath, they keep having the same quiet thought. Why does this feel so much harder than I thought it would? Not harder in a dramatic way. More like a constant background weight. Texting back takes effort. Making plans takes effort. Choosing dinner takes effort. Checking your bank account takes effort. Even resting can feel like something you have to earn. And because they are technically functioning, people assume they are okay. But that explanation is too simple. Sometimes adulthood does not feel hard because you are failing at it. Sometimes it feels hard because you were prepared for responsibilities, but not for the emotional invisibility that comes with them. People often misunderstand this kind of person. They think if you are tired, you must be lazy. If you are overwhelmed, you must be bad at managing time. If you feel behind, you must not be ambitious enough. If you seem quiet, distant, or hard to reach, maybe you just don't care. But psychologically, something else may be happening. A lot of adults are not only dealing with tasks, they are dealing with a private collapse of expectation. They thought growing up would eventually create clarity. They thought confidence would arrive after college, after the first real job, after moving out, after becoming independent, after finally being treated like an adult. Then they got there. And it still felt confusing. That's the part nobody talks about. Imagine someone sitting in their car outside their apartment after work. The engine is off. Their phone is in their hand. They have been home for 8 minutes, but they have not gone inside yet. Nothing terrible happened. Maybe a meeting ran long. Maybe a coworker made one comment that stayed in their head. Maybe rent is coming up, or their parents keep asking what their plan is. They open Instagram and see someone buying a house, someone announcing a promotion, someone posting vacation photos, someone from high school looking peaceful in a way that almost feels offensive. They close the app. They tell themselves, "I'm fine, I'm just tired." But the deeper question is, tired from what? Because sometimes the exhaustion of adulthood is not just physical. It is the exhaustion of constantly translating your private uncertainty into a public version of stability. You may not be falling apart. You may be performing okayness. This doesn't apply to everyone. But for many people, adulthood becomes difficult when the outside world keeps asking for performance, while the inside world is still asking for meaning. And this is where it gets interesting. When people are younger, structure carries more of life than they realize. School gives the day a shape. Grades create feedback. Parents, teachers, coaches, or communities create direction. Even when life is stressful, there is usually a next step. Pass the class. Graduate. Apply. Move. Start over. Adulthood removes many of those rails. Suddenly, nobody tells you if you are doing it right. You can be employed and still feel lost. You can be in a relationship and still feel lonely. You can have a full calendar and still feel like your life has no emotional center. That matters. One quiet shock of adulthood is realizing that freedom and uncertainty often arrive together. When you were younger, freedom looked like making your own money, choosing your own life, not having to explain yourself. But when freedom finally arrives, it often comes with invisible labor. You have to choose your identity without a script. You have to maintain friendships without built-in proximity. You have to make life decisions while acting casual about how little guidance you actually have. Here's the paradox. Adulthood is sold as the stage where you finally become yourself. But for many people, it is the stage where they feel most disconnected from themselves. They may look independent, but they are quietly carrying the fear of choosing wrong. They may look responsible, but responsibility has become a place to hide. They may look calm, but calm can sometimes be what happens when you have no time to feel anything fully. Have you ever had a day where nothing was technically wrong, but everything felt too much? That is not random. Sometimes the mind does not respond only to big crises. It responds to accumulation. Small decisions, small disappointments, small comparisons. Small moments of feeling unseen. Small bills. Small reminders that nobody is coming to organize your life for you. Individually, each thing looks manageable. Together, they create a background pressure that is hard to explain without sounding ungrateful. So people minimize it. They think, other people have it worse. They think, I should be happy. They think, this is just what being an adult is. And slowly, emotional fatigue becomes part of their personality. But there's another layer. Modern American adulthood is not happening in a quiet environment. It is happening inside comparison culture, hustle culture, remote work loneliness, dating apps, job insecurity, and the pressure to be constantly reachable. You are supposed to build a career, maintain a body, have a social life, save money, answer messages, improve yourself, and still look like you are not trying too hard. And all of this happens while everyone else's life appears edited. Social media makes ordinary life feel like evidence. Your apartment becomes evidence. Your relationship status becomes evidence. Your job title becomes evidence. Your weekend becomes evidence. Everything starts to feel like it is saying something about you. And once you see this, you can't unsee it. A person is not only trying to live, they are trying not to feel behind in public. That pressure can make even simple choices feel loaded. You don't just choose a job. You wonder what it says about your potential. You don't just stay home on Friday. You wonder if you are wasting your youth. You don't just feel lonely. You wonder if everyone else figured out a version of life you somehow missed. Here's the part nobody talks about. Maybe adulthood feels harder than expected because you were taught how to achieve, but not how to belong to your own life. You learned how to chase the next checkpoint. You learned how to be impressive, useful, polite, productive, or independent. But nobody really taught you what to do when the checkpoints stop creating relief. Nobody taught you how to sit in a life that looks fine from the outside, but does not feel fully alive on the inside. Maybe this is not weakness. Maybe it is adaptation. Maybe the part of you that feels overwhelmed is not dramatic. Maybe it is accurately noticing that the old map does not match the terrain anymore. Because adulthood is not just paying rent, having a job, or making responsible choices. It is the slow psychological work of becoming your own authority in a world that constantly tries to measure you. And that can feel lonely, especially when everyone else seems certain. But maybe they are not. Maybe many adults are walking around with the same private question hidden under different costumes. One person hides it under ambition. Another hides it under humor. Another hides it under a relationship. Another hides it under being busy. Another hides it under silence. Maybe they are not cold. Maybe they are tired of performing. Maybe they are not lazy. Maybe their mind has been running in survival mode for years. Maybe they are not behind. Maybe they are grieving the version of adulthood they thought would feel clearer than this. That is the reframe. The difficulty is not proof that you are doing life wrong. It may be proof that you are finally noticing the emotional cost of a life built only around functioning. So if you recognize yourself in this, the question is not, what is wrong with me? A better question might be, what part of adulthood did I expect to feel easier by now? Did you expect confidence to arrive automatically? Did you expect loneliness to disappear once you became independent? Did you expect success to make comparison stop? Did you expect being responsible to make you feel secure? And maybe the hardest question is this. What are you still trying to prove, and who are you trying to prove it to? That's the trap. The goal is not to become a perfect adult who never feels lost. The goal may be to stop treating every moment of uncertainty as evidence against yourself. There will be days when you sit in the car a little longer before going inside. Days when you answer, "I'm good," because the real answer would take too long. But those moments do not mean you are failing adulthood. They may mean you are human inside a version of adulthood that asks people to carry too much quietly. And maybe the beginning of feeling less stuck is not forcing yourself to become tougher. Maybe it is admitting that the life you were taught to chase did not explain what it would feel like to actually live inside it. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden psychology of everyday behavior. And if this felt familiar, you might want to watch the next video on why you feel behind in life, even when you are not actually behind.